The latest NFL mock drafts have hit the presses, and today I'm going to be reacting to who all the top NFL draft analysts are projecting for the Washington Commanders in round one of the 2025 NFL Draft, and I'm going to be sharing my take on those players today. Before we get into it today, I also host our NFL Draft channel here at Chat Sports, guys. So if you love the NFL Draft, you're a draft nerd like myself, and you want some more content from me, you can find me over on our Draft channel. I'll put the link to our Draft channel down in the comments and description of today's show, so you guys can click that subscribe button and join us over on NFL Draft by Chat Sports. So let's start with Field Yates, who just put out his new NFL mock draft, and he has the Commanders taking Nick Emmanwori, the safety, out of South Carolina. Now, Emmanwori has been somebody that has been projected to the Washington Commanders quite a bit here over the last several weeks, especially since after the Combine, and for good reason. We'll talk about those reasons here in just a second, but first, this is why Field Yates has Emmanwori to the burgundy and gold. The Commanders added veteran defensive back Will Harris in free agency to replace Jeremy Chinn, but Emmanwori could have some appeal to their defensive staff given Dan Quinn's history of using safeties in creative ways. Emmanwori's physical tools are off the charts. He ran a 4.38 in the 40 at the Combine despite weighing 220 pounds. He also jumped 43 inches in the vertical. Emmanwori is a menace with the football in his hands and took 2 of his 4 interceptions to the house last season. And like Field Yates points out here, guys, he is an absolute physical freak, all right? 4.38 at his size, literally all green boxes on the relative athletic score, leading to the perfect 10 out of 10 relative athletic score. You want to know the only other safety ever to get a perfect 10 out of 10? That's right, it was Jeremy Chinn, who just left this team for the Las Vegas Raiders. So who better to replace his spot in the Commanders' defense? Now, my take on Emmanwori here, guys, is that he is a perfect fit for what Dan Quinn wants in his strong safety. Big, physical, versatile, fast, all these different things. And I certainly understand why people, and a lot of people that I really respect, are kind of projecting him to the Washington Commanders in late round one. But I do think his film is underwhelming. I still think he has areas he needs to grow in. I think his pursuit angles in run defense are not great. I think sometimes he can miss a lot of tackles and not be very good out in open space. And those things tend to concern me a little bit. I also think he could be a little bit tight at the top of routes and in man coverage and all these different things. So I thought that his film was very underwhelming given his physical profile, but obviously he's still a young player. He can still grow once he gets into the right building. And, this guy's got the potential to be one of the best safeties in football. So if the Commanders take him in round one, I'll be a little bit skeptical of it, especially in year one with a team trying to win now, because I do think he has a ways to go before he becomes what he could be. But the talent is certainly there, and I think that it's a perfect fit in terms of what Dan Quinn is looking for in his strong safety. So let me know down there in the comment section, who do you want the Commanders to take in round one this year? Do you want Emmanwori? Do you want an edge rusher? Do you want something else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know your preference for the Commanders pick at number 29 in round one. Now we'll move over to NFL Network's Bucky Brooks here, who has the Commanders taking Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. Kind of a surprising pick here because Golden is being projected as a top 15 pick right now after his stellar performance at the NFL Combine. This is what Bucky had to say about Golden to the Commanders. The motivation to build around 2024 Offensive Rookie of the Year Jaden Daniels could prompt the Commanders to take a playmaker early. Now you guys can see here that Golden is a bit undersized, but he's got excellent speed. He ran a 4.29, 40-yard dash. The unofficial was 4.3, but his official ended up being 4.29. So he had the fastest time of any receiver at the Combine, and he pairs that with some really nice film, some great ball tracking ability down the field, some one-handed catches, some really, really fluid route running, and some good stuff after the catch as well. So because of that entire collection of talents that he brings to the table, I kind of doubt he's going to make it to number 29. If he does, that'd be great, and I think that Golden could be the future number one target for Jaden Daniels when Terry McLaurin eventually leaves this football team and can be a true number 2 threat alongside Deebo Samuel and, of course, Scary Terry in the meantime. But, like I said, I don't think he's going to make it here to number 29. I could even see him being a top 10 pick this year because of the blazing speed that he showed off at the Combine this year. But I could see Washington take a wide receiver at some point during the NFL draft this year, because you do have Terry McLaurin, you do have Deebo Samuel. Then after that, Noah Brown is fine, I guess. You got Luke McCaffrey, who you drafted in the 3rd round last year, showed some good things, especially after the catch last year. But I don't think there's anybody that's a young receiver in this group right now that you really feel like is going to be your number 1 receiving weapon of the future. Now, obviously, Terry McLaurin is going to be the number 1 receiving threat here for a while at this point, but I look at the situation right now, and I would love to get a younger wide receiver alongside Luke McCaffrey and Terry McLaurin to build alongside Jaden Daniels for the future, but probably not in round 1. Then we get to Lance Zierlein, also from NFL Network here. He has the Commanders taking Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss. Now, Amos is one of my favorite cornerback prospects in this entire class. We'll talk about him here in just one second. But this is what Lance had to say about the fit between Amos and the Commanders. Amos is a smooth-hipped corner with natural man cover talent who would give the Commanders better size to match up on the outside. And, I think that Amos is a really good player, like I said, and, Lance tends to agree with me on that. He's a bigger corner that's really fluid in his hips, that, he can just mirror like nobody's business. He's got excellent technique in man coverage. I also think his zone eyes are pretty darn good as well. But the Commanders want to play a lot of man, and they want to play physical football. Amos is perfectly built for that. Now, he's not the best athlete in terms of straight line speed, so he could get burned in terms of the deep ball down the sideline if he gets beat in press, but he doesn't get beat in press all that often. So I think that he is a borderline first-round talent. I think he probably ends up going on day 2. But somebody is going to get a player that they absolutely love, probably in the 2nd round with Amos, and he's an absolutely awesome player. But like I said, guys, when it comes to the Commanders, I don't think corner is going to be a target for them in round 1. Now, to be clear, I do think they'll take a corner at some point because Jonathan Jones is kind of on a shorter-term deal. Marshawn Lattimore is certainly not a for sure thing for the future. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and then you got Mike Sainristil, who you want to keep in the slot. So I won't say it's impossible the Commanders take a corner early, especially if the guy that they really like is here at number 29. But I do think other positions, edge rusher, safety, etc., will probably be the more likely options in the early rounds, namely on night 1. So coming up here on the Commanders Report, more mock draft reactions, including a 7-round mock draft from ESPN's Matt Miller, one of their lead NFL draft analysts there at ESPN. But before we get into the rest of the mock drafts I'm going to be reacting to today, you guys can get this, which is the official 2025 NFL draft hat for your Washington Commanders. They also have this really cool off-white color with the gold leafing on the brim. I actually ordered this one for myself, guys, but this is the one right here that the draft picks are going to be wearing on draft night. So if you want to go to chatsports.com/2025draft, you can get your officially licensed Washington Commanders 2025 NFL Draft Hat from our friends at Fanatics today. And then another added bonus is that you actually help out our channel when you make a purchase using our link, chatsports.com/2025draft, because every time someone makes a purchase using that link, Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds. So if you guys want to help us keep the lights on here and then also get yourselves a really stylish Commanders Draft Hat to put in your collection, go to chatsports.com/2025draft to get that in your closet today. So we'll move over to Bruce Feldman here, who works for The Athletic, one of their draft analysts there, alongside Dane Brugler, of course. And he has the Commanders taking James Pearce Jr., edge rusher out of Tennessee, number 29 overall. This is what Feldman had to say about Pearce. With sack leader Dante Fowler Jr. gone to Dallas, Washington needs a jolt on the D-line. And the choice here is Pearce over Shemar Stewart, another combine freak. Pearce, at 6'5", 245 pounds, is smaller but more productive. His athleticism is elite, and he truly is elite as we can take a look at his profile here, guys. And even though he's a little bit undersized in terms of his weight, 245, he brings a lot of power to the game, all right? Like, he will bull rush people. And, you know, his ability to convert speed to power using that really elite athleticism is something that I am really, really excited by when it comes to James Pearce Jr. And also ran that 4.47, which is an elite time for an edge rusher. This guy is a freak. Now, he does have shorter arms for what would be considered an elite NFL edge rusher, but he can beat you in a lot of ways. He can beat you with speed and get off the edge. He can beat you with some finesse moves as well, and then he can straight up go through you with the bull rush even at 245 pounds. So I would be thrilled with James Pearce Jr. at number 29, and it's actually not impossible he makes it here because of some of the character concerns that is being cited with him. If there's some teams that flag him and think that he's not a good fit for their locker room, there's certainly a chance with the plethora of potential first-round edge talent in this draft that Pearce is the one that ends up falling to the end of the first round, right there for the taking and right into the arms of the Washington Commanders. So now we go over to Warren Sharp here, who is kind of does his own thing, very analytical guy, somebody that is good follow on Twitter, by the way. He has the Commanders taking Olufemi Oladejo, edge rusher out of UCLA, currently being projected as a late day 2 or early day 3 pick in the first round here. And this one would be a little bit of a surprise because Oladejo, like I said, is being projected more as, kind of like a project. He's only had 1 year at the edge rusher position. Now, he's already developed some very nuanced pass rush moves, namely the cross chop, which is one of the most difficult pass rushing moves to pull off. Leatu Latu, last year's UCLA pass rusher, was also very good at that move. So whoever's teaching the cross chop there at UCLA knows what they're doing. But Olufemi is somebody that the Commanders have shown a lot of interest in. So I can kind of understand why Warren kind of is seeing that connection and saying, all right, they would prefer him in the first round here. And he's got a lot of potential. He's got long arms. He's a great athlete, all these different things. He's got all the tools. He's still developing, though, and he's still very much a raw run defender, which is actually okay because the Commanders need more of a true designated pass rusher anyway. But the first round is probably a little bit of a reach for me. I would be okay with taking Oladejo on day 2. Whether that's in the second round or if they trade down and get an extra third-round pick, I'd be fine with them spending that third-round pick on Oladejo. Very talented individual. But the first round, I think you could probably get some other players at some other positions of need and then get Oladejo later if that's truly your target. So before we get into the rest of the mock drafts here, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you want more draft videos like this one on the Commanders Report every single day. We follow the likes, all right? The cops, they follow the money. We follow the likes here at the Commanders Report. So if you guys like the video, we will make more of these kinds of videos. So if you guys like the draft stuff, make sure you click that thumbs up icon so that you guys can really let us know what kind of content you want to see on this channel. So the final mock draft here is the Matt Miller from ESPN 7-round mock draft for your Washington Commanders. Now there's only 5 picks because the Commanders only possess 5 draft picks right now, but these are the 5 picks that Matt has the Steelers or the Commanders taking. In round 1, he has Shemar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. I'm not in love with that because I think Stewart is a little bit more of a developmental prospect, and the Commanders really need somebody to be a good edge rusher on designated pass situations right away. All right, I don't know if Stewart really brings that. I would much rather have James Pearce Jr. or Michael Williams. Then you got Kevin Winston Jr. In the second round, love Kevin Winston Jr.'s film, man. He spent all of last year pretty much injured, but his 2023 film had him in the first-round conversation heading into the season. So that could be a potential steal right there in round 2. Love that pick. Then in round 4, they have him taking Trevor Etienne in round 4. And Etienne, I think, has the potential to be a very good, very explosive kind of scat back in the league. And I think that the plan there would be have him play behind Austin Eckler for a season and then take Eckler's spot as kind of the third down back moving forward. But honestly, I think there's better backs that are going to be available in round 4 than Etienne, who I have a day 3 grade on. And a mid one at that. Then in round 6, Tommi Hill, cornerback out of Nebraska, and then Ricky White, a phenomenal special teams player in round 7 at pick 245. So grade this mock draft down there in the comments section. These 5 picks, give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. For me personally, I like the Kevin Winston Jr. pick, but all the other picks I'm kind of lukewarm on. So I'll give it a B to be nice to Matt Miller here, but let me know your guys' grade down there in the comments section. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for more Commanders draft content all throughout the draft season. We got weekly mock drafts, in-depth prospect analysis, these mock draft roundups, just about every single week as well. So if you guys want more Commanders draft content right here on YouTube for free, click that subscribe button right now.